Hello and welcome to the United Stand. How are we all doing? We will be talking about Manchester United as per usual, if I can get my screen up. We're trying something a little bit new tonight, but we are going to be talking about Mesut Ozil to Manchester United and a potential boost. I'm joined by Flex. How you doing, Flex?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm always good. How you doing?
Good. I'm good, thanks. And also we've got Sophie. How are you doing, Sophie?
Hi, Mark. I'm good, thanks.
Good. Right, we're going to run it. See how it works. We've got a lot of dislikes on the video today because Arsenal lost, and we've put Ozil in the title. That's how it works. But effectively, two things I want to talk about to start off with. Ozil to Manchester United. I'm going to go to Flex first on this because he did tweet about it this afternoon. But effectively, the boost is that, well, there was a story this morning that Manchester United board had sanctioned a deal for £35 million for Ozil. Those people who don't know anything about this deal, he is out of contract in May, technically, for free. So if Manchester United buy him in January for £35 million, you'd think from a business point of view, Arsenal would be interested in that. Then, obviously, Arsenal knocked out of the FA Cup. Some people think that that should be another eye-opener to Ozil, that there's no future at Arsenal. But Flex, Ozil to Manchester United. I know this afternoon you said a big no. What do you base that on? Is it just you don't think United are going to buy someone, or a bit of information?
It's a mixture of both. Like, us in the January transfer window is usually a bit of a myth. You know, historically, it's not something where we address our big problems and get the target that we want. So there's that side of it. And secondly, the way Ozil's playing at the minute, it's like he's kind of just upped his game. And I think a lot of people say it's in audition for Man United. I think it's the opposite. I think he actually wants to stay there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him sign like a contract between now and the summer to shore himself up. And stay beyond there. It looks like they're definitely going to lose Sanchez, but then that will leave it free for Ozil to be the main guy, you know, be the highest paid player, etc., and be that guy. So I can't see us getting him. I can't. Not even just in January, but even beyond. I just can't see it. Not at all. Not that I don't want him, but yeah, I just can't see it.
Oh, you just answered that there. I was going to say, would you want him at United? Because I think he's the perfect sort of player. Smash the like button, everybody. Sophie, yeah, we were just talking just before we went on air there that you'd like anybody. I can sort of understand that at the moment because, but Ozil, I mean, would you like? I mean, you'd like anybody, so you'd like Ozil. But do you think there's anybody? Do you think it's likely? I mean, Flex seems to think he'll stay at Arsenal.
I can't see Ozil leaving, to be honest. Like Flex just said, Sanchez to me is already out the door pretty much. I can't see them getting rid of both. I know Wenger can be pretty stupid, but I can't see them getting rid of both of them, in my honest opinion. So I can't see us getting Ozil. As much as I would like him at United, I cannot see that happening. I can't really see any other business happening, to be honest, in January, as much as I do think we need it. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
We've just ruined 29 days of however many days of transfer daily there, Sophie, saying we're not going to anyone. But no, we're in Dubai. Lukaku's posted pictures. We're in Dubai, and I know a lot of people were saying that because we've not got a game until a week tomorrow, it's an opportunity for United to sign players. But I don't think well, you know, you just said there, but I don't think we'll be signing anyone while we're in Dubai, and then you're like in the middle of January, and I mean the question. And it's over to everyone at live comments as well. I mean, what's the problem? VK Dean says that is the problem, that Sanchez will probably go. And Sanchez is going to Man City. I was saying this as early as last summer, and it's whether he's going to go now or not. There is something about the Ozil deal that pulls me in. I'm not going to totally say no like Sophie and Flex have. But look, the reality is, Arsenal Fan TV, they don't normally get it wrong. They got it wrong. They got it wrong today. They got beat, fair enough. But I did tweet today, and DT replied and said Ozil's going to stay. And I've seen the Arsenal Fan TV Twitter account tweeting a lot about Ozil. To me, they're quite close to that club. They're going to take a lot of L's if Ozil goes, and I just think I've got a funny feeling he will sign a new contract. The only little bit is that he hasn't signed one yet, but he'd be perfect for what we need. If we're not going to get him, Flex, you know, regardless of whether we're going to do business in January, and I'm going to go against the grain. I do think we will sign somebody. It might end up disappointing everyone and be a fullback like Meunier from PSG. But if Ozil stays at Arsenal, if Dybala's injured like we were just talking about, Griezmann's not coming till July, what is there out there? Is there? I mean, even in the summer, what is there out there? We know we need a winger. We know we need a forward. There's talk of Gareth Bale again. There's always talk of Gareth Bale. But these massive deals that we've done in the past, like with Pogba, do you see United doing that again? Or do you think we're going to get players that are I don't know, a little bit sort of Eric Bailly signings that no one's really talking about at the moment?
Firstly, I think even in this window, I like to see us try and get Mahrez, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
I saw his stats in comparison to Coutinho, and they were looking at it like he's played like, I think, like 24 fewer games than Mahrez, but their goals are pretty much the same, their assists are pretty much the same, chances created. Like, I think Mahrez is a good asset to our squad. He's not the be-all and end-all of what we need, but we can get him cheap, 20, 25 mil, which is cheap in today's market. He wanted to go in the summer, last summer, didn't get his move. I think I'd like to see us trying to get players like that. But in terms of, like you're saying, that big marquee signing, you're thinking of the Griezmann one, really. That's the one that kind of, it probably should have happened last summer. He stayed loyal to Atletico because of their transfer embargo. They couldn't sign any players, which, to be fair, is probably a nice touch of him. He knew they couldn't sign anyone. It's not worth it happening in January. He can't play in the Champions League. It doesn't suit both. Kind of why maybe Coutinho shouldn't have gone to Barcelona now compared to what he's going to get out of it. He was probably better off staying until the summer. But it's similar with the Griezmann thing. I can't see him coming now, but in the summer, I think the link with Pogba as well. They're really good friends on and off the field. I can actually see the Griezmann thing happening. The Dybala and Icardi and players like that, I can't see it. I don't know. There's something I just got a feeling. I don't think Jose would chase those players. I don't think those players would want to come. But the Griezmann thing, I think it was very close to happening last summer, but I think it's definitely on the cards for this summer. But there's always the chance of, like a Bailly where he came out of nowhere from Villarreal. We didn't know too much about him. Yes, we've seen him play a couple of times, but we didn't see him play in that Europa League campaign that season and think, we'll have him at United. But what a revelation he's been. Yes, he's injured quite a bit, but we know he's probably our best defender when he's fit. So, you can't ever rule that out as well because, we're Man United and we've got scouts for a reason.
Isaac Stir says Mahrez, Defo can run and cross the ball and trickery also. And Yadman TV says Flex and Mark can have my tracksuit jacket backs that I lent you. But a bit of banter there, that's okay. Mahrez is... you've got to be very careful about Mahrez, Sophie, actually, because I said this last night. If he goes to Liverpool, he's overrated. If he comes to United, I think he's got a lot of potential.
I actually really like Mahrez, to be honest, and I think he's the kind of player that we're lacking in our squad at the minute. Somebody who's going to take someone on and take a risk, and I really like Mahrez. I think he would be a good addition, if I'm honest. I can't really see him coming to United. I don't know if he's a Mourinho kind of player. However, I personally would like to see him in a United shirt. But yeah, I just can't see it happening. If anything, I think he will go to Liverpool, because I think he would be a good addition there. But yeah, I just can't see him coming to us. As much as I like him, I can't see Mourinho signing Mahrez, to be honest with you. Griezmann in the summer, maybe, like Flex has just said, I can see happening, but I can't see Mahrez joining us in this window.
You mentioned Liverpool there. Van Dijk, 75 million in. Coutinho, 142 million pounds out. I think they're going to sign again. I think it will be Mahrez or maybe Lamar. If Liverpool do that, they could do Lamar and Mahrez. If Liverpool do that, they did finish above us last season. I got a lot of stick last night for saying that their front four is better than ours. I hate to say it, but I do think it is. Is it wrong that United, regardless of whether it's Mourinho, which I don't think it is, or the board, and just not giving him what he wants, is that a concern that we are, we're looking up at Man City, but actually there's clubs around us doing business? Would you have any concern about Liverpool and our lack of activity?
I think, to be fair, you can't argue attacking. They've played some of the best football in the league, really. Arguably, going forwards, that they've been really impressive, and you can't deny that. However, defensively, that's what's let them down. And that's why I commented after the Van Dijk sign, and I said, you know what, yeah, it's a lot of money, 75 million. But I actually think that's good business on their behalf. They obviously knew Coutinho was going. The window now and prices are crazy anyway. We'll overpay for somebody, no doubt, at some point. And I just think it's really good business. And realistically, in the Premier League, there's not many defenders who are available who are better than Van Dijk. So for me, I fear Liverpool, and I can honestly say that.
Strong words, Flex. Do you fear Liverpool?
Yeah, I don't fear Liverpool, no, because I think in the long run we're a bigger club than them. We always will be, and I think we'll always find a recipe to be better than them, like we have been infinitely throughout the whole Premiership era. But like Sophie said, you can laugh at them for spending 75 million on Van Dijk, etc. But it's a sign that they're willing to address finally the problems that they have. Do you know what I mean? And it's a statement of intent. Like, if you know you need something, the way the football world is, if you need it, you you have to pay the money. It's as simple as that. You either pay or you don't, and you don't get it. It really is as simple as that. We can do a whole show on the inflation of the transfer market in the last 10 years. Except, you know, look at Ronaldo's fee of £80 million now. That looks like an absolute bargain, even though at the time it was a record fee. So it's all in comparison. Everything going up in relation to the inflation of the market. So we can't moan about it. It's going to break the 200 mil mark, and when it does, it does. We can't moan. So the fact that they're going out and getting what they want, yeah, it shows that they're willing to try and fix their problems. But we're Man United, man. We'll always find a way. It's taken us a little while at the moment, but look, for all the great attacking that they've got, the revelation that Salah's been, and you know, you look at Firmino playing well. All right, Coutinho's gone now, but he's been a big part of it. Still above them. So, and I know, yeah, do you know what I mean? And I know that we kind of parked the bus against them. We've done the same thing last year, and they couldn't beat us. For all this attacking flair, and so why would we worry about a team that hasn't beaten us for a while? No,
yeah, I mean, when I say I fear them, I mean currently I fear them. Obviously, with the fact that we're not signing anybody, I'm hoping to back Mourinho, because I do trust Mourinho, and I think if he gets the backing and can sign the players that he wants, then yeah, like you say, we are the bigger team, and we should like powerhouse Liverpool realistically with the obviously the financial backing. If that's given to Mourinho, then yeah, I think at the moment
coming out this last week and saying, I want to stay here. I want to put all that crap to bed. You know, I'm here to stay. The only way I'm going to leave is if the club sack me. It was like when he first joined. You know, when he first joined, he gave that press conference, Man United's biggest club in the world. To him, I think that's massive. I think that is kind of like the players needed to hear it. The fans needed to hear it. Maybe even the board, who might have been thinking, oh, is he going to walk in the summer? That probably settled a lot of nerves. And for him to come out and say that, Mourinho's not stupid. He's had conversations with that board, and he must have had conversations that make him feel a lot more comfortable by technically committing his future. So there's things going on there. He's got to be happy for him to say that, because Mourinho's not a stupid guy. He's not going to come out in a press conference and say, I love the job, I love what we're building, I want to put Man United back to where we want to be, if he doesn't feel that he has the resources to do that.
It's interesting about Mourinho because his contract's up at the end of next year, so that's 2019. There's talk of it being extended to 2021. The only reason he's not signing it at the moment, although he wants to, is because he wants more control on transfers, which obviously I think we would all be quite happy with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I would, 100%. Yeah, why not?
I think I think Mourinho, as I said the other day, I think Mourinho. It makes me laugh that we've not given him an open checkbook, and you know, I think open checkbooks sort of looked at as a negative thing, but that's what Mourinho is. You look at his career, and it was one of the reasons I was excited about it. I know it flies in the face of what Manchester United's all about, and we want to see youth coming through, and I want to talk about Swansea in a minute, but Mourinho, I said it when we got him, really like him, not really a man who plays youth, but if you give him an open checkbook, great, and we've got so much deadwood that, you know, let's be realistic. We knew you can't replace all the deadwood with youth. You're going to have to sign some players, and I don't think there's anybody better than Mourinho to do it. I really don't. I mean, Darian says Milankovic-Savic, for those who know him, would be a good signing from Lazio. Very, very good signing. I don't think we'd get him in January. A lot of people talking about Malcolm. Again, I sort of heard that maybe Arsenal are in for him. He's definitely taken English lessons anyway. And what about Jose will buy specialists, says Andrew Thompson. And what's that? Having a go at Conte isn't helping us. We have a good relationship there. Viking Red, interesting. I've had my say on this, guys and girls, so I don't want to go on about it again. But what was your thoughts about this whole Conte thing? Because for those who've whirlwind tour, basically Mourinho said something about clowns on the touchline, didn't name Conte. I felt he was talking about Klopp as well. Conte basically accuses him of being senile and having dementia. Mourinho comes back with the match fixing. Conte calls him a little man. You've got people like respected journalists saying it's a disgrace, this, that, and the other. And I just feel that this is the uprising. This is what United Stand and fan communities are all about. Football's for the fans. Football is historically a working class game. It's not cricket, it's not rugby. Entertain the fans. And to be honest with you, some people like WWE, some people like a good old action film. If the managers are real and they have a little bit of passion and rivalry, I'm all for it. I ain't got a problem with it. If Kante wants to give a bit back, come on, let's He's already said, I'm looking forward to the game at Old Trafford. Fair play, Conte. Yeah. That's going to be rocking now. Come on, bring it. It's not, you know, we want a bit of drama. We don't want cricket and handshaking and, you know, no mud on your trousers nonsense.
I think it's fantastic. I love it. I love it. You know what? And it's nice to see Mourinho go back to that, because he's been quite miserable recently. And you think of his early years at Chelsea, the arrogance, the swagger. I'm the special one. Wenger's a specialist in failure. I love it. I love all that. It's kind of like you're at school and there's like someone wants to be the head guy at the playground. Like, you need that. You need that, man. You need that in life. I think you need that in social settings. You need that especially in football. And like you said, to ramp it up for the, you know, like, fair play to Conte. He's given as good as he gets. Even I think Jose killed him with the betting thing. It's the way he said it as well. It's just like, you know, I might make mistakes sometimes, but one thing that will never happen to me, I'll never get done for match fixing. It's brilliant. I love it. And, you know, when we play Chelsea at Old Trafford, I mean, what a game that's going to be. That's going to be like, between them two, it's going to be like old school Sunday league, like first against second, even though we're not first and second, but you know what I mean? Old school Sunday league. Really want to get one over on your manager on the other opposite number, because like a big rivalry, man. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
It is funny, Sophie, as well, because I was just thinking there, and I do desperately try not to mention City that often anymore, but you know what? They are on this great run. They are massively far ahead. They've got no fan channels. They've got no fans, and they've got no interest in them at all. You know, they are this team that's going to win the league so comfortably, but they are as bland as pea soup. There is nothing to. There's just nothing. It's always Manchester United, regardless of whether we're winning titles or not. Manchester United are headline news, and I'm with Flex on this. You know, I know some United fans are quite embarrassed by it, saying, "Oh, you should just be talking about the football." But I love it. I love it. I love the whole, you know, the siege mentality. You know, not arrogant, just better, and all that. That's what we are.
I love it as well. And like Flex said, people were questioning Mourinho's passion. They were questioning if he'd still got it or not. And this flashes back to what it used to be like and why United fans wanted him in the first place, the ones who did want him, that is. I think it's great to have that bit of arrogance, you know what. And Fergie used to do it. Just, you know what, we're better than everybody. And yeah, why not? A bit of banter between him and Conte, I think it's healthy, to be honest. And it shows us fans that actually he is bothered and he has still got it. And I like it, and I think it's good timing as well. I think it's really good.
Matthew McFadden says, not pea soup, pep soup. He's coming with the banter. If it was Christmas, we'd call you Banter Claus. But I did mention the youth there. I mean, look, everyone says this channel is very... and in fairness, it's not. You know, I remember, Flex, you were at the game the other day with some of the fans, and, you know, I think it was the Southampton game, and there was concerns about Mourinho. I mean, I do back Mourinho. I have to wear that T-shirt. But what I would say is that one thing that does sort of worry me a little bit is the youth. I mean, we were led to believe that Twansibi was going to play on Friday night. Didn't even make the bench. He's 20 now. He's ready. There's talk of him having to go on loan to a championship side. You know, Mourinho looks like he's going to be here for another 4 years. That's great. But when you look at that 4 years, for someone like Twansibi, in 4 years he's 24. Fosu Mensah, you know, again, similar sort of age. Pereira will be in his mid-20s. When or are these lads going to get a chance? And that will be something that, you know what, if we win titles, maybe some fans won't think about it, but ultimately I think I will. I will look back, because that is very important, and we have got players in my mind that are ready and good enough, and I do have concerns about where or when he's going to fit them in. Yeah,
I agree. It's not... I mean, when he first come here, though, think about it. People were like, oh, Rashford's never going to play. Like, he's had his breakthrough season. He's never going to play now. And he was like his most used player, you know, all year. He's shown he can do it. Like this year, he's broke through McTominay into the squad, you know. And Tuanzebe, he looks like a very, very good prospect, and we want him to play more. But I think because he's been under such pressure, which we know it's Man United, he's going to be under pressure. But I just think he's kind of shied away from some of them games to play him because of the pressure. Couldn't afford any slip ups. Like technically against Derby, you're thinking McTominay could probably start that game. You're thinking, you know, because he played against I think it was Benfica at home in the Champions League. That was a big, you know, that was a big game for him. Had got 90 minutes under his belt. But historically, yes, Jose's not that guy who's gonna kind of go into your under under 21s and promote players in and play them. You know, that's not his style. But one of our, you know, youth prospects in Jesse Lingard, he's got a lot better under Jose, you have to say. So he's developed him. Rashford, he's continued to play him, so he's done well. So, you know, there's room for more. There's room for more. The whole Pereira situation, to be fair to Jose, he come out and said the kid didn't want to stay. Like, I told him to stay and fight for his place, but he wasn't up for it. He wanted to go and get football, which Mourinho didn't really like that, did he? He wanted him to stay, and he was quite vocal in saying that. But it was up to Pereira. He chose to do that. Fosu Mensah's a weird one as well, because anytime he plays for Palace, and I see a lot of Palace fans on social media, they love him. They think he's brilliant. You know, and I know being brilliant for Palace is one thing, and being brilliant for Man United is another, because we found that out with Zaha. But I do think that players like that should be given a chance, man. Should be given more of a chance, and it is slightly worrying going forward, because he's going to have to try and titles and the fix. It's going to kind of sway some fans, because realistically, our most important thing right now, for me, yes, youth is important, and we've got a few youth members knocking around the squad, but for me, we need to get back to winning ways. That's challenging for Premier League titles, winning Premier League titles, going far in the Champions League. And we kind of need to do whatever we need to do to get that first. Then once we're back, then worry about that, in my opinion.
Definitely. Do smash the like button. I think we can hit 1,000 likes while we're live, and we don't do that very often. And I'm very happy, because it's a long time since I've tried to do the visuals. We normally just have the voices, so really good. And if you're enjoying it as well, then drop a like on the video. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. I don't know. Look, not everyone knows everything about the youth, so I don't want to throw you under the bus, Sophie. But there is a guy called Tahith Chong who is. We bought him from Holland, and he had a bad knee injury. The main account tweeted about him today, actually. For me, you know, I'd love Bale to come. I would love Griezmann and Ozil and people like that. But if this lad can stay injury free, I'm sort of convinced, as are many others, that this lad can be, you know, that sort of left-sided Bale sort of player. You've then got Gomez, obviously, as we know about. I still think Pereira can do it. And then defensively sided, I think Twansibi and Fosu Mensah can be absolutely perfect. The question is to you is the same to Flex. I mean, probably I'll be a bit more blunt. Do you trust and expect Mourinho to bring these players through? Because he's never done it before in his life, in his career as a manager.
I think the interesting thing is to see what happens with Fosu Mensah, because he's loaned him out, obviously. Will he bring him back and give him a chance? I mean, Pereira went out on loan, but as Flex rightly said, just the decision was his, wasn't it, to leave? Mourinho didn't force him out the door. We can't really judge it, because we don't know if he would have given him a chance if he'd have stayed. McTominay started to give, obviously, a bit of game time too, which is positive. But for me, I don't think Mourinho is against youth. I just think it's a lot slower with him. And like Flex said, at the minute, priorities was competing with City, was getting back to the top. That's what we need to do. And so far, Mourinho, I think he has stabilised us, but we've still got to we've got to get better, and I think that will be his priority. Hence why he's loaning players like Fosu Mensah out, not getting rid of them, but they need to develop and they need to improve. So for me, I think it'll be a lot more of loaning these players out, getting them the experience, and then we'll see what happens from there. It's hard to judge at the minute, isn't it, really? And I think a good measurement would be what happens with Fosu Mensah, if he comes back and he plays, or if he gets rid of him. So that's what I think.
I think the Fosu Mensah loan is absolutely perfect. Pereira should have stayed in the Premier League. Fosu Mensah in the Premier League. He's not always been in the team. He's forced his way back in. Man of the match against Man City. They got that draw. And the lad's just, I love his work ethic, but I think if he can just keep developing, I mean, Liverpool are buying Naby Keita. Sit down. If Fosu Mensah does what he's capable of doing, he's from our youth setup, and I think he'll be even better. And I think that is an example of, you know, it's not always about money. It's not always about an open checkbook, because he could save us 50 million quid and be one of the best centre midfielders in that role for the next 10 years. So I'm excited about Fosu Mensah for sure. Jay Hart says, I love the chat screens. Was getting bored looking at Mark's face all the time. Mate, when I'm live, I've got the screen in front of me as well, so I'm looking at it as well. I feel your pain. Scott Kent says, Chung is a good player and he is fat. No, fast. Sorry, he's not fat. He's a skinny lad. That would have been really hard. Gil's enjoying the video. Good. And we are going to take some of your questions in a little bit, so do start firing them in about 3 or 4 minutes time. But what I do want to ask the guests about is, I suspected this was the case with Van Gaal. He He basically has come out and said that he was offered the Belgian job and he wanted to take it, but he wasn't allowed to take a job for a year if he wanted the big payout from Manchester United. And because of how Manchester United treated him, he was adamant and determined not to take a job for a year because he wanted to make them pay. He described them as horrible and treacherous. This is not news, is it, Flex? This is not something that we, as United fans, really give a damn about.
You ever heard the term of bitter old man? That's him, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be completely ungrateful. Signed off, FA Cup win, thank you, cheers. But he played a boring brand of football. He was a bit of a clown. Yes, he had a good CV on him. Don't get me wrong. When he came, I was like, he's got a fairly good CV. Done well with the Dutch national team as well, especially that year before the summer he came to us. But the brand of football we played wasn't too far different from Moyes, you know. So whatever, I couldn't give a crap if he's slating us. It just says how much we wanted to get rid of him by how much we paid him to go. So if anything, it's more of the joke's more on him. But he's just a bitter old man. Just a bitter. He'd rather not work somewhere just to rinse us for the money than actually go and get a job. So yeah, he's just a bitter old man.
I'm just going to say this. Look, I'm reading the live comments, and some of them are very, very funny. But this is not Grindr. This is not a place to get a girlfriend. Look, Sophie, as far as I know, has got a partner. She's not going to start giving out a number or anything like that. And obviously, very, very good opinions on football. So let's keep it to the football. I've just realised I said Grindr. That would be more for me and Flex. But no, it's not. We don't go that way. But, you know, I think Tinder's the one that maybe people... Look, I'm digging a hole. Let's just keep it to the football.
Just stop, Mark. Just stop.
Just stop. Just stop. If only I knew that. But yeah, Van Gaal, Sophie, I know you were a very big fan of his. What do you think about his latest comments?
I wouldn't say I was a big fan of him. He just made me laugh.
I was only joking.
Yeah, he just made me laugh. And watching him back there, some of the clips, like the mince pies and his dive on the side, I just think he was just hilarious. He was just oddball, wasn't he, and entertaining. But yeah, I just think, like Flex said, he's just obviously very bitter about the whole situation. I do think it was harsh winning the FA Cup. Then it was like, see you later. But I'm not complaining because I would know who I'd much rather have as my manager, and that is Mourinho. And you know what? To get to the top, you've got to be harsh sometimes, ain't you? And yeah, he's just very bitter about it. And he's trying to make a point. His comments, obviously, of late as well, are just got to ignore that, really, and laugh at him.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. Look, I would love to win the FA Cup this year, and Arsenal being out of it, I know they are capable of results like that all the time, but they were the holders and they have got a good FA Cup record. So them being out's a positive, and I would love us to win it because I've said this before. Honestly, when we were in that FA Cup final, there was a big part of me that was thinking, if I really want to win it, but if losing it means we get rid of Van Gaal, it had got to that point. So I was really grateful that we won it, and then we sacked him. That was like the best weekend ever. And I know, I don't wish the sack on anybody, but he had to go. I mean, calling United horrible and treacherous. I'm sorry, mate. Your football was boring and a swear word. It was awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, we used to do watch-alongs and we would be talking about favourite films. It really was boring. It was a bad time and we shouldn't forget that. And also, as well, I mean, we're talking transfers, Flex. I mean, I do want to, before we start taking some questions, I do want to just say this. Look, a lot of people get on Mourinho's back, and the big thing I always say is, one, we've got a lot of deadwood, but you've got to look at why we've got that deadwood. And, Moyes was just out of his depth, never should have been given the job. But when you look at what Van Gaal did, and you look at, deadwood for me is not rubbish players, it's just too many 6 out of 10 players. It's too many Darmians, Blins, Memphis, Schneiderlin, Schweinsteiger I loved, but he was clearly past it. Di Maria, there's a lot of players that happened on Van Gaal's watch that Mourinho is still suffering with, because you can't just come into a club and sell 7 players and buy 7 players. It's not FIFA. And I think, Van Gaal's legacy in some ways is far more damaging than that of Moyes.
100%. Like, it's you inherit a lot of that when you're a football manager and you start a squad. Like you're saying, it's not FIFA. You can't just cancel everyone's contract, give them a big payoff and move them out the club. These are human beings who have real lives outside of football, families, they're comfortable, and legal rights to say, well, no, I'm not moving, mate. I've got 18 months left. I'll keep getting my 90 grand until then, and then I'll go for free. See you later. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot behind the scenes that, as football fans, we do forget about it. I'm guilty of it sometimes. You see someone play really poorly, consistent. You're like, just get out the club, just go. And unfortunately, it isn't as easy as that, and it's kind of like a phase out system. Like Mourinho needs to kind of find a way of phasing out the players he doesn't want, and getting more players that he does want in, and he can't do that probably until he gets some players off the wage bill. I know Man United got a lot of money and we're the richest club in the world, but like I said, these are real people we're dealing with, and we're dealing with the law. Like once these contracts are signed, there's certain things in place. All these players got a lot of big agents who know their rights. You can't just say to Daily Blind, or let's say Darmian for an example, you're absolutely shocking now, mate. You're gone. You know, it doesn't. You can make him not play in the team. You can stick him in the reserves. You can stick him in the under-21s, but then you've got a very expensive under-21 player playing there because he'll just go, right, okay, I'll sit there. Kind of similar to what Schweinsteiger did for a bit. I did think we treated him quite harshly, to be fair. You know, he's a World Cup winner. He's a legend in the game. It just didn't work out for him at Man United. And, you know, Jose just stuck him in the under-23s, you know. But that was a very expensive addition to their squad. He didn't go anywhere for a while, did he? Because he sat on his money because he can. So I think we've got to be patient as fans. It's frustrating because we're seeing players like that in the side at the club, and you're like, really? Like Fellaini's like longing it out on a contract, trying to, you know, hold us to ransom. You think, you know what, just get rid of him. But until this contract expires, it doesn't work like that. So it is worrying, but you have to understand, man, these are real life people with real life contracts. You can't just, you know, click your fingers and get rid of them.
Got some good questions flying in now. We've got one here from Kian CMC11. I'll ask you this, Sophie. He says, what do you think about Luke Shaw and his future, considering we are constantly being linked to new left backs?
To be honest, I was worried about Luke Shaw, the way that Mourinho was treating him. He wasn't getting into the squad and stuff. But I do think recently, he's you know what, when he's been given a chance, he's done pretty well. And I don't know if whether he's had a chat with Jose and now he's more clear on where he stands and stuff like that. But I just feel like something has changed and it's a bit more positive now for Luke Shaw. And fingers crossed that is the case, because I do really rate him. I think he's really talented. And if Mourinho backs him, then I do think he'll be the left back for England in the World Cup, to be honest. So yeah, I think hopefully Mourinho has had a chat and he's knowing in his plans, because I don't want to see him leave.
No, I mean, I think if we are going to sign a left back, not now, and you've got Shaw, you've got Young, I think we'll be fine. One for you, Flex. Then Scott Kent says, who would you like to get in the 4th round of the FA Cup?
I said this to a friend actually. I wouldn't mind getting Man City at home, if I'm being honest. At home, because I think it'd be very difficult away. I ain't going to lie about that in our current shape. But Man City at home, so we can actually play them fairly recent to when we just put in a shocking performance against them and do them over. I mean, it was the same last year when we lost to them at home and we got them in the Carling Cup, didn't we? And we beat them when they played like a weakened team, but we won 1-0, I think it was. But, you know, it was nice to kind of get that over them, you know. I would like to have Man City at home just to kind of right the wrongs from that shocking performance we put in against them in league.
Yeah, definitely. Remember, if you are new to the United Stand, subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner, hologram there, live every single night at 8 o'clock, and we've got Transfer Daily, which is Monday to Friday at 7 AM. I think we've got something sort of bubbling up, which might be quite interesting to talk about in the morning. I'll have to do a bit of research on that later on. Tabish says, Naby Keita is potentially world class. Put some respect on his name and don't be bitter. I think he's talking about what I said before. Fosu Mensah is potentially world class. Put some respect on his name and sit down. I would take Forest in the next round just for the banter. I think it'd be really good. But any thoughts, Soph? Anyone you'd quite fancy? You're from the. Are you? Somebody was just saying, "Where's your accent from?" I'm probably going to get this totally wrong because it's not too far away from where I live, but it's sort of Dudley way, is it?
Yeah, not far from there.
So
yeah,
Wolves.
Wolves, why not? Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. They're impressive this season. I think it'd be a good game.
I think that Wolves next season. I was talking to Draughty about this in the week. I think they're going to be top 8. I don't think they're going to be top 4, but I think they'll be top 8. They've done a lot of good things, and they've got a lot of money as well.
Just got to keep the players, really, haven't they? That's the main thing.
Yeah. Keep firing the questions. We'll take them on. MH says Fosu Mensah is not potentially world class. See, you've got a lot of bitter Arsenal fans on tonight. Just leave it. You're out. You got done. You've got done over. What about the contract renewals, Mark? What does that... This is a great question from Paul Robinson. I'll chuck this at you, Flex. So the contract renewals, he says, what does that say about our direction as a club, squad signing? So, you know, we talk about the deadwood, but Blind has been extended, Herrera's been extended, Ashley Young's been extended, Juan Mata's been extended, Luke Shaw's been extended. What are your thoughts on that in relation to where we're going as a club? Because that's quite a lot of players that, I suppose technically most of those are not definite first teamers, but you've extended 5.
It is slightly concerning with that, to be fair, because although I was saying, like I said before, about you can't just get rid of players, one thing you can do is not extend their contract, so you haven't got as long to wait before they do go. It goes on personnel at the time, though, doesn't it? I think if Jose didn't have the players that he wanted at the time, and he likes players he thinks he can rely on, he likes players that will run through brick walls for him, and if at that time you're running through brick walls for him, he's that guy who probably will give you a year extension. And to be fair, Ashley Young, we laugh saying we got a winger playing left back and stuff, but how good has he actually been?
Yeah.
I know to go to the next level. I always say, like, you're going Real Madrid away in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Do you want him coming up against Ronaldo? Probably not. But to be fair to him, he's earned his stripes. So he's probably earned that. Luke Shaw, you could technically say he hasn't earned that contract, but given his age and given what we paid for him and what we want to get out of him, it's kind of like one last punt. And to be fair, the back end of that now is starting to maybe come to something. Let's face it, he's starting to put some good performances, get consistent, and be fit. So that's probably not the worst one. But you look at the Blint one. When he first come, if I'm honest, when Daley Blint first come, I wasn't wowed, but I was like, okay, good utility man. He's like a John O'Shea. Yeah, if we need him to fill in midfield, he probably can, not odd game. Left back, he can do a job. Centre half, he can do a job. He looked quite comfortable on the ball. But I think he's one of them players that, he was captain at Ajax and he was playing quite well. He's one of them players where some players can not play well, not play for a while, should I say, and come into the team and have a worldie because they're just natural athletes. They're just naturally good footballers like that. Some players need form. And Daley Blint's one of them. I think you can't not play Daley Blint for 10 games and then expect him to come in and have a worldie. He just doesn't have that in his locker. Darmian, again, he's Italian. He's been to the World Cup with Italy, looked like a strong defender, but again, doesn't get enough games. Because there's been a period where he was playing pretty well, to be fair, last season. He was in Jose's squad quite a lot, and Jose relied on him at left back quite a lot. But that's just gone now. I mean, since he hasn't been playing, again, coming in and he's just not performing. So it is a little bit of a worry extending those kind of guys' contracts, especially with the way they're playing now. But at the time, they weren't doing too bad, so you can kind of see why.
Yeah, it's Everyday Bro says, thoughts on Lingard, Sophie and Flex. And I'm going to give my thoughts as well. I think this can be a regular part of the show every week, Lingard, because it's sort of like, it's a bit like a graph, isn't it? It's a bit like Bitcoin, up and down. It's, is he a squad player? Is he a first team player? Should we give him the number 7? Is he the answer to our number 10 problems for the next 5 years? And it's like, one thing I think everyone agrees with before, there has to be a disclaimer that Jesse Lingard, we all agree, is playing fantastically well at the moment. He's probably one of the form players in the country. But, Sophie, if you are asked to give an honest answer, which I'm sure you will, what is Jesse Lingard's future at Manchester United? Is he number 10? Is he out wide? Is he first team? Is he squad player? Now, some people get, I wish to say this as well, being a Manchester United bench player is not a negative thing. Solskjaer, Scholes, but Neville, Phil. Being a bench player for Manchester United is better than being a first teamer for Everton if we get things right. So, where does Lingard fit in for you?
At the minute, I think he's a vital player. You can't deny that Mourinho has really helped Lingard to progress. He's become a much better player. And you know what? I can't really fault him. Technically, he's not the best player now. I know he's scored a few worldies of late. He has improved, but his movement off the ball is something that we need more of from more players, to be honest. He's constantly moving. He's always an option. And that's kind of what we lack from the other players. And it's a shame that technically he's not amazing. However, he has scored some good goals and he has improved. Because his movement, I think he's probably got the best movement of anybody in our front four, to be honest. And yeah, so I think at the minute he's a crucial player. Once we get our signings, though, hoping that obviously we make signings, then for me would be a squad player, somebody to bring on. Maybe a bit like a Ji-sung Park, somebody who you're playing the big games because you know that he's going to work hard and he's going to do a job for the team because he'll always bring that to the table. So yeah, I think at the minute he's crucial, but next season I can see him being more of a squad player, to be honest.
Good one. Shaka Phillips agrees with you. He says he's a squad player. St. Colombo says Lingard is blinding people with 10 games and 110 games. I think I know what you mean there. Gmank7 says Lingard's still not good enough. Aizen, Messi Lingard. Everyone is talking about how... No, don't want to talk about Pep. Lingard or Martial, says Gil. You're joking, aren't you? Sit down.
I got to say on him, man. Look, I've been saying to some people in the fan cams as well, just around the ground, is it a fact that Lingard is just actually reaching his full potential and he always knew he was going to be this good? Or is he just in the form of his life? But either or, it's great for the club. It's great for the team, more importantly, right now. And football's about playing the form players. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter about your reputation, because if you've got an amazing player who's not playing well, you're not going to say keep playing and you say take him out of the team. So it can go the same way for a player who maybe hasn't had the best reputation beforehand, but is putting in 8s, 9s and 10s. Like, you know, you can't argue with it. And you look at the top players in the league, your Sanchez's, your Ozil's, your Hazard's, players like that, players that you expect to be right up there with the goals. He's got more goals than all of them. Dele Alli is the future of the English football in the midfield. They're playing catch up to him right now. And so long as he's playing like this, and I know obviously Sophie said obviously he'd be probably more of a squad player next year. And I think I do see where you're going with that, because you think like we're going to go and buy players in the summer that are going to be bigger, higher quality, higher caliber than Lingard. But let's say he keeps putting these performances into the end of the season and finishes the season with 20, 25 goals. Hits the pre-season running, starts next season. Would you really change it? Would you really change it? Like, I've been one of like Lingard's biggest critics in the past. Like, he's popped up with goals, but I've always been like, yeah, it's not consistent, squad player, etc., etc. But what the boy's doing now, how can any of us say anything? You just have to just be quiet and let the boy play, see where it goes. Only he can answer the questions of whether he's good enough or not to sustain this level of performance. But we're all shocked by it, but we're pleasantly surprised.
I think the truth is you're both right, and I think a lot of people in the live comments are right as well. I think, you know, ultimately he probably is a squad player if things stay the same and we do bring a Griezmann in, because Griezmann's a better number 10. But the big thing is we've got 3 or 4 months left of this season before that happens, and you know, it's not now. So what's he going to do in the next 3 or 4 months? If he does what he's doing over the last month for the next 3 or 4 months, I think he becomes suddenly a real contender to be a massive part of the future of United, because the form is fantastic. If he drops off because he's got to play the better teams, and that is one thing I would say, these goals he's scoring, they're not against the decent teams. I think the best team was Arsenal, and they were both tap-ins really, down to Pogba. But you know, I take nothing away from him. He is the best player in the league, I think, at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep it up. What I would say is, for those people who don't think he can keep it up, and I'm unsure, I read a brilliant comment on the match reaction yesterday about, and I'd not thought about this. They said, can't you remember the US tour? He was the best player on the US tour,
yeah,
and everyone put it down to the fact that he's skinny, so he doesn't have to get. It doesn't take him long to get as fit as everybody else, so he's probably a couple of weeks ahead, which I said at the time. But actually, that form sort of fits in with the form at the moment. So I think I think Lingard's a really exciting one to keep an eye on, and I think, as everybody says, whatever you know, I don't think there's any United fan, whatever they think about Lingard, and I suppose the same with Fellaini as well. I mean, although I would sell him given a chance, if he suddenly turns into the best player in the league, I ain't going to just be stubborn and say, well, I don't like him, get rid of him. It's, yeah, you know, if players turn it round, they turn it round, don't they?
Yep.
Exactly, and that's what's happening with Lingard. I mean, if you look at, I think there's a season under Van Gaal when he started the game, like beginning of the season, and he got injured for a long time. So they've kind of been trying to get him into that first team. They've obviously seen he's good enough for a while now. He's been unfortunate with that injury, and then last year he was a bit inconsistent. But under Jose this year, what can you say? If he's putting in performances like that, we can't argue, especially when we need to start getting some positive results. He's been at the forefront of just literally dragging us up from the floor and getting us positive results. So can't argue.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, well, thoroughly enjoyed the show. It's whizzed by as per usual. A lot of people saying that Liverpool have ruled themselves out of the Mahrez deal. That might be a bit of encouragement for United fans if you want him, because what would Liverpool do if he knew he was coming to United? They'd rule themselves out. So, but maybe he's going to Arsenal. I don't know. I do think we'll do some business, and Premier League proven is logical. But then again, United's activity in the transfer market hasn't been that logical anyway. But we have got a show tomorrow morning at 7 AM, Transfer Daily. We've got the Skype show tomorrow night. But I like this, and hopefully we can keep it up like this. I like the the visuals, because it's far easier to interact when you can see the person rather than when it's just the voice. So thanks for coming on, Flex.
No problem. Thanks for having me. That's fine. It's all good, man.
Good. And thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed it.
No, we've enjoyed having you both on, and hopefully we can keep this. I don't know why it stopped working in the past, but it seems to be working now, so that's great. So thanks, everybody. Please do drop a like. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. Lots going on this week. We may do a show like this midweek because there's no match now. When's the next match? It's ridiculous. It's like Monday, isn't it?
Monday. Yeah, Monday 15th. Like I said, I was tweeting that I wanted Stoke to get a replay against Coventry, so our game would have been on a Saturday 12:30. But a lot of fans have booked accommodation and travelled to Man United for that day. So luckily, the Bears fans are all right. They're fine.
Good. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 7 AM. And really enjoyed the show. Can't do it without you lot, of course. That's what makes the show. So speak to you all soon, and enjoy what's left of your weekend. Thanks for watching.